Well back, Moisar. Rahul back. Kabul, Moisar. Welcome. Kabul. Welcome to our YouTube family out there. Welcome. We're back every Tuesday. We're here every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. teaching Wu-Sabat. Right? Teaching Wu-Sabat, our original culture, our original way of doing things. We are back. Support. What they say, thumbs up. That's what the other channels be saying that. Spread the word. Let people know the good news of Wu-Sabat is here. The solution to the problems that our people are dealing with is here. We do these discussions every Tuesday. We have so many topics on our YouTube channel here at NoopooH.org. Support also our social platform, NoopooCC.com. Become a member. We can only grow if you support. We need about 10,000 subscribers where we can really put where we could finance the site so it can be a force to be reckoned with. We need our own social platform, guys. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter. All these things are controlled by foreigners. We need a social platform where we can support, where we can finance it. So Yeah, you know, our social engine, NoopooCC.com, is a fee-based social engine at what's that, $19.99 a year, $20 a year. It's a nominal fee, but we're doing it so that we don't have to be beholden to advertisers. You guys are the sponsors, you guys are the investors. So it's about you guys invested in the project, making a commitment, at least a 5-year to the 10-year commitment. What is that? $100 to $200? $200 in 10 years invested into the site. The goal is for us to get 10,000 subscribers like that. And then we'll have the capital to really build out this project like no other. One of the things we want to be able to do with the social engine as we raise the capital is create I talk about it a lot, the reference encyclopedia project. Our people need a reference encyclopedia so that they can really do their own research dealing with our history, our culture, our achievements, because a lot of things they put on their encyclopedias is misinformation, is not accurate. You know, they put things on Wikipedia that's not accurate. We need our own accurate encyclopedia, reference encyclopedia, where our people are able to do research projects with this. Children would be able to utilize it. This is one of the projects we would like to be able to finance with this, with our own social engine. So all members will have access to this encyclopedia project. The other thing we wanted to be able to do with our social platform, NoopooCC.com, is to be able to create like a master database for businesses, right? You know, there's other companies that are doing that. I believe WeBuyBlack.com. We want to be able to do the same thing where we can network, but we get our people to network with different types of Black businesses so we can support one another. And I want to be able to encourage the businesses to give the members a discount. And that way the membership would, for the most part, pay for itself. But it's about supporting. Right here on the screen, this is one of the entry of what the social engine looks like. You know, so you guys can see it as you become members. One of the things we're setting up here is you could do advertising. It's a nominal fee for advertising. Once we set up, it's not going to be expensive at all. We're setting up also on here is you can set up your own courses whereas let's say you teach yoga, you can set up a training class for that on our social engine. You can set up a class if let's say you're a math teacher. You can train people in you know, in math, virtual, you know, some virtual classrooms that we have, you know, that will be set up on here. This is the framework for the virtual class. A lot of these things is still in its development, but it allows people to give you an idea as we, you know, get more money, you know, from members, then we can invest in the site. And so we're not asking a lot of money from a small group of people. We're asking a whole bunch of people for a little bit of money. So when you get into that number, like 10,000 subscribers, then we'll be able to generate tens of thousands of dollars to reinvest into the project. It's about it. It will only grow with you guys support. So starting this Friday, we're going to get back to doing our Noopoo news, and I want to try to give an update every week about the website and what we're doing with the social platform. You go, just so you know, for those who are going to subscribe, you go to noopooh.org. Right here, you click become a member. Become a member. You just click become a member. Noopooh.org. It has 3 different options here. Basic Noopooh membership is $19.99 a year. Discount membership, basically you pay for 5 years, which is $99, and then you get an extra year for free. So it's really 6 years. So it's discounted. That's, so that's a deal, and that's really where we want to get people at to get a 5-year membership where it's an investment. Think of it that way. You're investing in this project. So with all that being said, again, Friday, we're going to talk more about it on our news update. And in our news update, we're going to be dealing with the language. So be ready for that. Once we start doing a news update on a weekly basis, we're going to give information as far as helping individuals learn our Lahaj, Sabaetic. Okay, so we have a lot going on that's going to be coming up. Now, with all that being said, let's get started. Now, for those who do not know me, my name is Petty Sina Tebtu Ray, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabat Yananan, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nawab, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture is about being in harmony with natural nature. Our ancestors lived in harmony with natural nature. And we argue that Black people for the last 500 years have been suffering under racism, white supremacy. And that's due to the fact that we have gotten away from our original cultures for the last 6,000 years, really. You know, we were a people that was in tune with nature itself. And we had very advanced societies. You see that in ancient Kemet. We were ones who built ancient Atlantis, ancient Lemuria, ancient Mu. These were advanced societies that our ancestors developed because we were in harmony, in tune with nature. And we've gotten away from that within the last 6,000 years. And we've been on a path of self-destruction. And the only way to correct that is for us to get back to the original culture that worked for us. You know, they call it animism today. You know, that everyone knows that our indigenous cultures as Africans or Native Americans, we were connected to nature. Today's cultures being ruled by the Western world, they are adverse to nature. Everything they do is adverse. And this is the cause of the chaos, the suffering, the bloodshed, the misery, the poverty, the degradation we see in the world today is due to cultures that has nothing to do with the connection of nature, which is why they have no problem destroying the earth through you know, with pollution, with these corporations. No connection, no care whatsoever. Wu-Sabat is the change of all of that. As I always like to say, we're not capitalists, we're not communists, we're not socialists, we're none of those things. Our culture is Wu-Sabat, and it's about being in harmony with nature, working of, for, and by each other. Now, before we get started in our discussions, we always get started with our prayer system, right? Our culture is about our spiritual development, our spiritual connection with existence itself. And so it's centered around us doing prayers and communication with our ancestors who exist on the higher realms. This is why we do it. We're talking and communicating with our ancestors who are real. They really exist. And the culture of Wu-Sabat is to teach you how to make contact again. We used to know these things. So we do the rituals for that purpose. So let's get started. Guys, we're going to do it for those who know. We do it in Sabaetic, our language, and then we translate it in English. For those who do not know, just follow us on the screen. Okay, Pa Sawa Wu Pa Tara. Panen Safa Kawun, Pa Sawa Wu Pa Tara. Z Kawuna Nazula Lehe Enkum, Mane Sabaat Wu Sa'at. Ame Hadayan Shafe Mane Salafu Wunataru. Ajulaye Nafasu Kum, Afuk Shane Kawun Kuma, Pa Sawa Wu Pa Tara. This book is the truth in a way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu Side, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing. Return from your ancestors and overseers. Return to your own. Accept what is yours, the truth and the way. Enun tawa enkum lehe panan shafe un wu alaj. Enun tawa enkum lehe nasuinun. Enun tawa enkum lehe ashuk. Enkum at the salafunun. Enun at the kharat ukum. Enum talub nasar kuma. Enun talub nasar kuma. En so nun sayim nataru. En so nun salafunun. Enun at the munwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for Ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Musba'u. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amun. Alrighty then. Okay. Let's see. Also, we this is an older prayer, guys. I think it's a very powerful namas. Namas means prayer, connection with your ancestors, connection to the existence, the universe itself. And I'm going to do this one out, and you guys need to learn this. You really do. I'm going to make the corrections up with the updated names because this came out in the 90s, and so we use these older terminologies. They're biblical terminologies. And now the terminologies we use is the same terminologies that our ancestors used in ancient Kemet or Egypt. So we use the Egyptian terminologies today as opposed to the terminologies that came out of the biblical. So I'm going to make the corrections in the terminologies, but follow along. We did this our prior discussion, and we're going to continue on because this is a very powerful affirmation / prayer. So it starts off, say, Ya Natharu. We say, Ya Natharu. Ya Natharu, sent forth by the Most High, Re'eh. Prayer like this. Re'eh, spiritual gifts descend into and around us. Guide us in all we do. Help us that we may help all human beings. Let us speak from your heads and not our own. Let us care from your hearts and not our own. Let us see from your eyes and not our own. We are to serve, not rule. We are to serve, not rule. One more time, guys. We are to serve, not rule. Make us the best of your servants, O head of all the Nathar, Re'eh. You are the light of lights, the truth of all truth, the creator of all creators. This is an actual fact that we all come from the sun. We're children of the sun, Re'eh, and the Re'eh is who grows the universe as we know it. As children of the Nathar, we take full responsibility for our actions that have happened in our lives. We are in full control of our life, and we will not allow others to destroy us, and we will be strong and successful. We are in Pa'ut, the holy light, the living. It fills our being. It purifies our being. It is around and through us. We are complete. We are in peace. In Pa'ut, we need nothing. We are in the light of the holy. We are the light of the holy. It fills our being. It purifies our being. We are complete. Being creative is a powerful gift from the Most High. And religious creeds are dividing forces dedicated to separation, racism, and war. The survival, expansion, and advancement of nature's choice, creation rests in the hands of those who are willing to cooperate. Our non-dimensional program, a sound mind, a clean soul, a holy spirit, a clear conscience, an honest heart, a caring person, an honest personality, a loyal being, and a healthy body and a sound environment. Okay, now with that being said, as you guys know, before we get into our discussions of the day, we like to go over the core principles of Wu-Sabat. We just kind of went over some of that in the family guide we read. You know, that family guide I was reading from just a moment ago. Again, like I said, it came out in the 90s. I wish we updated because it has some very powerful concepts and principles. I used to teach it to my children, you know, because I homeschool my guys, and that was one of the books I used to teach them from the principles. In fact, a lot of the principles I go over that I'm showing you guys, I got it from the family guide. A lot of the stuff, you know, many different books I got this information from, but that was one of the books that, you know, I got these concepts from. that the master teacher put out. So it would be really good if we updated that family guide book, so it has all modern, our current terminologies, because the old one has the older terminologies. All right, so now our core principles. Principle number 1 is Ashak, right? It stands for divine love, or the power of love. As all know, or those who do not know, we've done a discussion on that. So we always highly recommend to check out all of our lectures, guys. Always rewatch the lectures. We're always telling you that. Principle number 2 is resurrection, which is about becoming goddesses and gods again by learning to open up our third eye, being in tune with our higher self. We did a discussion on that, so definitely check those lectures out. Principle number 3 is the wisdom of the Hutri and Ma'at. The Hutri stands for the divine mind, and Ma'at stands for order. We did lectures on that, so we again check those lectures out, guys. Principle number 4 is relationships. As melanated people, African people, Native American people, we live of, for, and by each other as a tribe, as a community, as a family. Again, like I said before, we're not capitalists, we're not socialists, we're not communists, none of those things. We're Sabians who live in harmony and in tune with natural nature. So check that lecture out we did on that, guys. Keyword, Ubuntu. Principle number 5 is morphic resonance / matrix. Morphic resonance deals with sounds, tones, colors, frequencies, vibrations, right? And matrices are the manifestation of those sounds, tones, colors, frequencies, vibrations. Principle number 6 is Leviathan, stands for moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. We did a discussion on that, so definitely check that lecture out, right? We're at war with Leviathan, for those who know. Principle number 7 is soul / spirit. Your soul is your emotional force. Your spirit is your life force. We did discussions on that, so definitely check that out. Principle number 8 is health. The first key to health is a positive mind, right? As melanated people, sunlight, water. The body is at least 70% water, right? We recommend fasting at least once or twice a week. The herbal diet, as Dr. Sabius taught us, highly recommend. Exercising, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chanting. As we always say, health is not just what you do physically, but it's also what you do spiritually. The reason why so many of our people are suffering due to health issues is because they do not know this principle, that you must balance your health with things you do physically as much as you have to do things spiritually to have what we say complete health. So check that lecture out we did on that, right? Principle number 9 is Pa'ut, the creative force, right? That's what we acknowledge as a creative force. It just means all existence, which the terminology we use is Pa'ut. And Pa'ut is based on, or existence is based on what we call the SMAT, perpetual cycles within existence. And the actual creation energy is called Achach, right? Achach, or some say Ach. This is the creation energy. It translates to ether. This is what the Greeks call it today. The scientists call it the quantum field force. That's the name they utilize today for Ach or Chach. Now, as Sabians, we have 3 primary goals. Goal number 1 is to raise the self. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. And goal number 3 is the work to build Sabbatia. Now, in goal number 1, in raising the self, you must become born again, as the Christians teach, by learning the culture of Wu-Sabat and live it, right? Give up the old for the new. Give up the old for the new. Stop with your negative, bad behaviors we learned, raised here in this culture, and start learning the positive things of Wu-Sabat teaches you to do, right? One of the first things is correcting our diet. Don't have a potty mouth. I see that's on the rise now. More and more of our people have this potty mouth like it's a part of the language, guys. That needs to stop. It's really bad. It messes up your genetics. Remember, words are tones. Words are tones. Words are tones. Tones, vibrations, frequency. It matters how you use language. First goal is to correct your name by choosing a Sabian name. This is one of the keys to being born again. Correct your name. Tones, again, tones are key. You must correct how you look and dress, right? So, represent, Wu-Sabat, represent the culture. Of course, many times we have to wear Western culture depending on where you work and certain social events you may go to. It's just that we're saying learn to identify what your culture as Sabians and our culture wear. Eventually, once we get our own land, then we can always wear our own stuff. Okay, learn to speak Sabat. Language is key. Language is key. Language is key. Right? You must study our doctrine every day, which builds your sound right reasoning skills. This is how you're going to be better at making decisions, by making sure you study the doctrine. Not to mention, the doctrine also helps you stay in a positive mind. So that's another thing. That's a weird cough. I guess the community. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. Where we at? Let's see. About studying the doctrine. That's what it. Guys, remember, studying the doctrine also, when you're doing it on a consistent basis, it also helps you in your psychic self-defense, because it keeps your mind in a right knowledge state of mind. That's one of the reasons why we recommend it all the time, to study the doctrine. Doing, especially the specialist things that are dealing with this, a spiritual aspect, the prayers and the chanting. Right? You must practice and master our daily rituals to turn yourself inside out. The goal is guys, we must open our third eye. You must make contact with your higher self. Whilst be a Sabian. Being a Sabian is about being in tune with your spiritual nature. This is what raising the self is all about. And you must always be positive. You're not going to accomplish this without having to maintain a positive mind, which is a frequency, a certain state of vibration, right? Now, your goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. We're at war with Leviathan. We've been at war with Leviathan hardcore for the past 6,000 years. Okay? Now, this includes freeing Panabat Yunanin. The dragon has kidnapped him, and it's our obligation as Sabians to work towards the master teacher's freedom. This is a huge war with Leviathan. Part of that war is promoting Wu-Sabat. Our goal is to overcome the lies that's being spread. You do that by fighting those lies with Wu-Sabat, the truth, and to become a student teacher. Become a student teacher of Wu-Sabat as you learn the doctrine. And this is your way of helping in this war. Family, friends, whoever you can help, right? And fight the 6 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are ignorance, fear, ego, anger, our lust/desires, and lies/deceptions. This is what Leviathan feeds off of. And number 3, work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in businesses. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our culture. We must set up a landing zone for Panatharu in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. Right? We got to get our own land, right? So we can set up our own culture. That's key. Because until we do that, all of us are affected by being here, in the West or cultures that is based on Western culture. And this is what's poisoning us. It poisons our minds. It poisons our children. And the only way we're going to be able to protect ourselves and our children is by having our own. What did the Christians say? God bless the child that has his own. We have to get our own. Right? And Ashuk is the key to accomplish all our goals. That's key. What does it mean to be a Sabian? A Sabian is someone who's thoughtful and cares, someone who is honest and helpful, someone who is responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice and honorable, someone who is righteous and humble, someone who is excited and cheerful, someone who is loving and peaceful, someone who is kind and considerate, and someone who is neat, clean, and orderly. Our purpose as Sabians is liberation from adverse forces. This is why we have to set up our own society, our own communities. Okay. Number 1, you must take action each and day to free yourself of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which includes Black people who are possessed by these spirit forces. 2, acknowledge and fight 6 ether from promoting capitalism, the gay agenda, miscegenation, the so-called equality of the races, racism, white supremacy. And 3, learn, live by, and promote the laws/rules of natural nature. And each one teach one, family. Word of advice, do not judge this doctrine by watching the behavior of Panabab Yunanin nor his students. Judge this doctrine by the effectiveness of the information, aka affirmation, that you personally put to practical use. This doctrine is based on self-authentication, right? You prove it to yourself by raising yourself up spiritually, making contact with your ancestors so that you know it's an actual fact. You don't believe it. Know that we're not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there's a meeting of the minds between teacher and student, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. Quote, what you do for yourself in kind depends on what you know. What you do for yourself in kind depends on what you think of yourself in kind. And what you think of yourself in kind depends on what you know of yourself in kind. And what you know of yourself in kind depends on what you was taught and by whom of yourself in kind. Quote, until a lion has their historians, the hunter will always be the hero. And last, the negative mind talks of what it can't and will not do for self and kind, always complaining about who they don't like or trust, whereas the positive mind always maintains the peace by not complaining about that in which they do not like, but always focus on finding solutions to their problems, never allowing obstacles to get in their way of growth. Excuse me, guys, I'm getting these weird calls. What that is. All right, so now that was a lot, but we do this. You guys know, for those who know, we go over the principles obviously every week, because the principles is what we live by in Wu-Sabat. All of our discussions or lectures are centered around the principles. And anyone who studies our doctrine intently and understands our doctrine, you will see these core principles the master teaches constantly talking about, which means we need to implement it into your actions and deeds each and every day, so that you're living the culture of Wu-Sabat. And by living the culture of Wu-Sabat, you're raising your vibration. By raising your vibration, this is how you make contact with your ancestors. There's nothing more important than that. Make contact with your ancestors. Okay? Now, today's discussion is the multiverse and how we are connected. The multiverse and how we are connected. This is what we're going to talk about today. It's an extremely important topic. The master teacher has addressed this topic on numerous occasions. In fact, he talks about it a lot, actually. And I wanted to bring up something. Where is it at? This was an update that we see. I'm not sure when this update came out, honestly, how long ago. This update, maybe it has a date on it. I like to give the dates of updates, but this one is pretty long, so I don't know. Maybe 2010. So that was what, 12 years ago, 13 years ago almost going on, that this update gave. And a question came up about a universe. The question came up about a universe, and the master teacher's response to that question is, he says, there is no such thing as universe or as a universe. There's a dual verse and a multiverse. Okay? So there's no such thing, because keep in mind, universe implies one uni, one verse, one universe, one uni. There's no such thing as one universe. There's dual verses and multiverses. There's not no universe one. That's kind of where that's coming from. So this is a very important topic. The master teacher has been introduced to the concept of the multiverse. And so what I would like to do is refer, let's see, to the holy tablets, right? Excuse me. Holy tablets, for those who are not familiar with it, these are scriptural writings that the master teacher put together It's some people call it our version of our own Bible that deals with our history and culture. This came out back in 1996, I believe, the Holy Tablets. Although it is outdated in a lot of terminology, is outdated, but but there's a lot of information in it that's still very, very relevant. Okay, so not everything is outdated. Has some very relevant terminology in the Holy Tablets, but it's theoretically the Holy Tablets is being updated by way of the Patriarchs. All of the information that has been coming out recently. Although the master teacher did say he would be revising the Holy Tablets, I've also heard word on the street that it actually has been revised kind of already. It just hasn't been put out, but I don't know how accurate that information is. You know, hopefully it has, because it's very powerful. I hope he does the same way. I hope we update the Family Guide. I hope we update the Holy Tablets, because it's very powerful. Because I'll be very curious to see how the updated version would look compared to, you know, the older version that we have now. But we're gonna read in the older version. This is the Holy Tablets. This is where we at with this one chapter. Let's see. This is chapter 1, tablet 7. Okay, so chapter 1, tablet 7. We're reading from. And again, we're talking about the multiverse and our connection to the multiverse and why that's important for us to notice. Okay, it has everything to do with our spiritual development, understanding the concept of the multiverse. It has everything to do with our spiritual development, understanding the concept of the multiverse. So that's why we're going into this. Okay, this is why we are addressing this subject matter. So we start with the Holy Tablets that deals with this topic in a very important way. So with that being said, let's see. So we're going to start from, let's see, verse 61. So this, like I said, this is chapter 1, tablet 7. Now, let me give you some background where we're starting at. In fact, it starts off talking about where I'm reading from. It's talking about the Philadelphia experiment. Okay, for those who do not know, there was a secret project called the Philadelphia experiment. It was a secret government experiment that took place in 1943. And they made several movies about it, actually. 2 that I know of. The Philadelphia experiment. And so to give you a background of it, I'll play a trailer from it to give you an idea, because this is where we're going to be reading from. It's a very important, that experiment that took place back in the 40s. Now, the government denies it happened. Naturally, they're going to deny it. But there were people who were writing about it who exposed it back in the 50s. This information came out. Okay. I believe it was first put out by a guy who was one of the first UFOologists, whatever. First guy to research the UFO phenomena back in the 50s. His name was Jessup, something Jessup. I forget his name. And he was a physicist, I think, or astrophysicist or astronomer or something. And he was investigating the UFO phenomena back in the 40s and 50s. Some say the government took him out. I don't know, how accurate that is, but I forget his name. Is Jessup, something Jessup. I have to look up. He had a book that dealt with UFOs back in the 50s. And he was one of the first people to expose the Philadelphia experiment back then. Okay. That the government did this project. This basically, they wanted to take a battleship and turn it invisible during World War II so that they can sneak the battleship into enemy territory in order to defeat the Germans. And when they did the experiment, the battleship turned invisible, but it jumped in time. It did a time warp. It jumped 40 years into the future. So the experiment took place in 1943, and it jumped 40 years into the future to 1983. and it had a huge impact. It created this vortex or time warp on the planet that we're on this time warp now. So this vortex opens up every 10 years. So the vortex was opening up from 1943, 53, 63, 73, and it keeps opening up on a cycles of 3 every decade. And it's due to the fact of this Philadelphia experiment, meaning the vortex was opening up every 10 years naturally, but it altered from, let's say if the vortex used to open up on the 10, so let's say 1910, 1920, 1930, 1940, when the Philadelphia experiment occurred, it shifted it from the 10s into the 3s. So it went from 43 to 53 to 60, so on and so forth. So I hope that makes sense because it can get confusing. But I just want to give you background. So I'm going to play the trailer for, okay, this is okay. This is the old version. So commercial. So I let you see this because this Philadelphia experiment, guys, like I said, it has everything to do with what we're dealing with, and it's very significant. One of the reasons why the master talks about it a lot.
It was October 1943. The United States government authorized an experiment that would render its ships undetectable by radar. The experiment took place on a ship in Philadelphia Harbor.
Generators activated, sir.
For 41 years, the government denied it ever happened.
I don't believe this. The Eldridge has vanished. Of course she has. She's radar invisible. No, sir. She's really vanished.
But one ship did disappear, and 2 of the crew suddenly find themselves in the present.
Maybe all this isn't real. They tell me this is my imagination.
Now, these 2 guys they talked about, in essence, they was on a ship. They were scientists, and they were brothers. Okay, there was a whole bunch of crewmen on a ship, but the 2 brothers who were scientists, they actually was in a different compartment than the rest of the sailors. And when a ship jumped into the future, they jumped off the ship and landed in the future, 1983. So they went from 1943 and landed in 1983. If you guys watch the movie, it goes into all of that.
You think the Navy knows what they're doing? You saw the guys on the boat. This wasn't supposed to happen, Jimmy. Jimmy, whatever he is, it's after us.
Michael Pere.
Somehow we got moved in time. This time, it's not ours. 1943 was yesterday for me.
Lindsay Allen.
What sort of experiment is it? Is it some kind of secret thing? Is that it?
Well, all that stuff I told the doctors back there, about time in 1943. Do you believe it?
I believe that you believe it.
And Bobby DiCicco.
Can't go through this again.
Okay, so now that was his brother. This is an important scene, but it was showing where his brother, he actually dematerialized and he teleported himself back to 1943. Okay, this has everything to do with what we call your 0 time reference. Everyone who's born is locked into a time stream that you're born into. Okay, in fact, I'm going to read that. The master talks about it in the Holy Tablets. Question. Let's see. Nikola Tesla worked on that project or gave blueprints that he warned against. He also built the particle accelerator. That's correct. Nikola Tesla was a part of setting up the Philadelphia this project. Because I believe this project started in the 1930s, guys. So you had Nikola Tesla was involved. You had Albert Einstein involved. Most of your top scientists of that timeline was involved in this particular project. Now, Nikola Tesla backed out because he feared that the experiment was going to go wrong, which it did go wrong because he said they weren't ready yet. The technology, what they were doing, they wasn't ready yet. But they did it anyway, and he backed out. Route back, Consul. Route back, Muitar.
The Philadelphia experiment. They opened a hole in time, and it stayed open.
Good God, there it is.
Now the government needs the one man who can stop the experiment.
Okay, that's enough of that. So, so you say it's actually an exciting movie. I saw it. Well, I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a pretty good movie. But it's true. Now, of course, they're not going to admit that. But one of the guys who was a part of one of the brothers, his name is Alec Balak. He told the story. He came out and told that he was one of the brothers. He was a part of the experiment. He gives a whole story. It's on the internet. You guys can look him up. I believe his name is Alec Balak or something like that. The master teacher recounts this information in our book, The Man from the Planet Risk. The master teacher talks about it in detail. Okay, so it's a very, very important story. When we're dealing with timelines, we're dealing with interdimensional travel, we're dealing with the multiverse. All of this stuff is connected, and you'll see as we go through this discussion. All right, so now let's go back to the holy tablets on this topic. So this is where we're going to pick up here. It says 61, verse 61. The scientists had no understanding of the human psyche. Now it's talking about the scientists who are part of the Philadelphia experiment. They had no understanding of the human psyche, love, nor metaphysics of the earth that also has a biorhythm like the human body, because it is a living entity, right? So the scientists didn't understand the spiritual aspect of the human being when they was doing this experiment. You cannot travel into dimension unless you're developed spiritually. You cannot travel into dimension unless you're developed spiritually, or unless they have technology that can compensate for spiritual development, which is something they have today. They have technology that can compensate for spiritual development. So that's important to know that, family. Now, it goes on to say, also, everybody there had a zero time reference. He's talking about all the soldiers in 1943 had a zero time reference different from everyone else. These factors caused the strange phenomenon that occurred on a ship. All humans have a time reference. Now they're locked at zero time reference, which is a set time created during the beginning of an experiment. For humans, it is the point at which every individual is conceived, and it continues on to the gestation period until they're born. So as soon as that sperm hits the egg and fertilizes the egg in the womb, that creates your zero time reference. Okay? Now, meaning you're locked into that time stream. Whenever that conception takes place, it locks you into that timeline. The master teacher explains it here. It says, all right, so it is locked to the time stream as he calls it, and is locked so that he or she can relate to society and civilization around them and flow at the same rate as everyone else, and has a reference that remains with him or her throughout his or her life until he or she dies, at which the soul goes on and can come back, which is reincarnate theoretically in the past or the future. So guys, if you do not resurrect and you stuck with your zero time, meaning you're locked into the environment and the culture, okay, that you was born into. And so what happens is, if an individual doesn't raise up out of this timeline, out of this time reference, when your physical body dies, your spirit will desire a rebirth into this type of timeline. And the thing is, I'm talking about a material realm, which is where humans are locked in. We're all locked into the material realm. This is the lower lower dimensional rate realm. We talk about this all the time about when we refer to the smash circle, right? So we're in a 3 ether realm. Remember that. Don't ever forget that, guys. Your goal is to be able to raise your vibration so you can exist on the higher dimensional realms, whether it be 4 ether, 5, all the way up to 9. As Nagato, African people, melanated people, we're connected to a 9 ether realm. We can move into that realm, but you have to raise your vibration to do it. But for those who are not spiritually inclined and don't know anything about this, most people, when they physically die because they never developed themselves, they desire a rebirth into the same type of timeline. And one of the things about reincarnating, as the master just pointed out, you can either reincarnate in the past, which I hope no one will want to do that for us, because our past within the last 6,000 years wasn't that pretty, especially within the last 500 years. Who want to reincarnate within the last 500 years, in the past or in the future? Maybe that's better for us in the future. Okay, so then it goes on to say, but this time reference is sometimes fragile when you start pumping megawatts of power and actually pulse to the gigawatt region, the type of energies that will affect the psyche, the mind, and spirit. You disrupt these references. Okay, so because your mind is operating at a certain nutational rate, and we're going to talk about the nutational rates, guys. We've talked about this before. For those who need more information on it, refer to our lecture we did on emotional energy, where we talked about the nutational rates. Very important to notice, okay, to understand that. So here's the thing, and your mind, will you have what is known as, okay, your spiritual counterpart to yourself. This is important that we remember this. We've gone over before. The human being on earth have a light body. That's your aura. You have your physical body, right? You have your spirit body, your spiritual body. You have your mental body, and you have your etheric body. These are different counterparts of yourself spiritually, and they're vibrating at different densities. Etherically, you vibrate on different densities, okay? And each one has its own nutational rate. Very important to know that. Each one of your spiritual compositions or essence has what we call a nutational rate. And we're gonna get into the nutational rate. We've talked about this, several times before. And where is this at? If I can go here. This is the actual facts number 17, emotional energy. This particular book explains the concept of nutational rates and why that's significant to this topic. But let's go back to the Holy Tablets. So now he goes on to say, where we at? So now it says, so what happened was the reference of the individual is disrupted, but are within the ship's field, so they are not lost. So what happened when this experiment happened, because of the high magnetic energy that was required to do the experiment, that affected the physical body and the spiritual bodies of all the sailors on the ship. And what it actually did is separated them. Once that ship went invisible, the vibration of the ship increased. And anyone who was on that ship, their vibration increased, and it separated their physical body, and it locked it out of sync with their spiritual body. It's like it divided. And then what happened was when they shut the experiment down and the ship went back to normal, right? The people who was on the ship, their physical body and their spiritual body wasn't in sync anymore. And so what happened was that individuals got embedded in the ship. So they found people, half their body was connected to the ship. Some person's arm was connected inside the ship. It was linked with the material, the elements of the ship, and they was embedded in it. And a lot of sailors died. other settlers lost their arms, lost their legs. It was really bad. The only people that wasn't physically affected like that was those two scientists who was on that ship. They were protected in this particular compartment, and they're the ones who jumped off the ship when it jumped into the future. Those two scientists, okay, which is what that movie is about. All right, we got some troll on here, and let me get rid of this person. I wonder how this is happening. Guys, I'm trying to get rid of this person who's trolling on our site promoting. Look at this. They promote some porn thing. This is what we got to deal with. It's crazy. Question from Joseph Hobbs. How we get a copy of the SMAT circle? Well, first of all, it's in one of the actual facts, guys. The master teacher does a good job of if you go to the actual facts number 13, I quote from that a lot. Actual facts number 13. Actual facts number 13 is called Noapian Ontologists of Time. This whole actual facts is about the SMAT circle. This whole actual facts is about the SMAT circle. It explains the SMAT circle in detail. This is the SMAT circle. Look, we're looking at it right here. This is on page 4. Okay. And remember, the SMAT is an acronym that stands for space, matter, and time. The universe is based on that principle of space, matter, and time. Okay. And this particular actual facts is dedicated to that information. It does a great job explaining the concepts of the SMAT circle and how, everything shifts through the different dimensional or ether energy states that a universe goes through. So that's important, to know. Joseph, I'm sorry. You asked another question. I might have deleted your by accident. If you can Joseph, you asked another question. I deleted it by accident because I was trying to delete that negative, that troll. So if you can ask again, but just so you know, the actual facts number 13 does a great job explaining, it introduces the concept of the SMAT circle. The SMAT circle is very involved as far as there's a lot to it to know about it, but this book is a great introduction into the concept to give you some ideas. What is the light body? What is the light body? Great question. Okay, so your light body, let me bring it back up where I was reading from. This is an update that came out back in 2013 that I was reading from. Okay, and the light body is your aura, family. The light body is your aura. So what happens is what? The anything in motion creates what is known as a magnetic field. Anything that's in motion creates what is known as a magnetic field. And in fact, it creates an electromagnetic field, which is that's what the electron does. When the electron is in motion, it creates an electric magnetic field. So your body generates an electromagnetic field because of the flow of blood. Blood flows from the toes to the brain, from the brains to the toes. Okay, because of that flow of blood, this motion is moving the electrons in your body. When the electrons are flowing in the body like that, it creates an electromagnetic field. That's what humans call your aura. Your aura. Your aura is your light body. Hence the word light, because it's made out of the electrons. And when the electron is moving, it generates light. This is how light is actually generated. It's how the sun produces light. It's how you make light in your household. And so your body produces light as well. Your light body or your auric body. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Question: how do you protect your aura? How do you protect your aura? Okay, so now the question becomes, what are we protecting our aura from? The question becomes, what are we protecting our aura from? Okay, so we are 9 ether beings. And as 9 ether beings, we're supposed to be vibrating at a certain vibration. When your vibration drops, it exposes you to being possessed by 6 ether beings. Lower vibrational beings can get into us when we drop our vibration. So the way you protect your vibration, the way you protect your aura, protect your spirit body from being influenced and affected by lower forces is by raising your vibration. And you do that through the chanting, by speaking a language Sabat, by doing the prayers, by doing the meditation, and having a positive state of mind at all times. All of the things I talk about in the principles. Once you learn to master those things, you're creating what we call a psychic self-defense against negative or adverse spirit forces. Because what they do is they put adverse thoughts in your mind. They're the ones that, this is why we have addictions, because the adverse forces put the thoughts in our mind, the bad habits we have. And once you identify the bad habits and you start saying, no, I'm not going to succumb to that. I'm not going to give in to that. And then as you get stronger by rejecting those bad thoughts, eventually those thoughts will fade away. Which means a negative spirit can only live in a host that feeds it by giving into the bad habits. When you don't give into the bad habits, that spirit eventually goes away. Think about things you've overcome in life. Like as a child growing up, I used to eat pork. I used to eat frankfurters, what they call hot dogs. I stopped all that. When did I stop? When I was 17. I used to love that stuff growing up as a child. I stopped at 17. And once, and the cravings for it went away. The desire for it went away. The spirit that was feeding that went away. So whenever you conquer any addiction, the longer you stop the addiction, those thoughts will begin to fade or go away. That's how you overcome it. Question, Joseph Hobbs. Question, the mental body. What about the mental body? Okay. All right, so this gets into... All right, how do I explain this? Okay, your mental body is your mind. Your mind is vibrating at a different, what we call a nutational rate. Your mind has a different vibratory rate than your light body. Your mind has a different vibration than your physical body. This is why you can use your mind to control your body, because your mind is operating at a different vibration. So you can use your mind to move your fingers, to move your feet, to run. You can use your mind to make yourself talk. In fact, you use your mind to do everything. You can use your mind to tap into your spirit body. That lets you know that your mind, which is energy now, your mind is energy. But it's a different vibration of energy, which is why you can control the different parts of your body. You can also control your spirit body with your mind, which lets you know your mind energy is vibrating at a different rate than your spirit body energy or your light body energy. You can control your aura with your mind. You can increase your aura, strengthen it, raise its vibration where it connects to your spirit body, which is another vibration. And you can do this all with your mind, which lets you know your mind is vibrating at a different rate or a different density. Question: when does your subconscious come into play? Okay. All right. So here's the thing. We talked about this a number of times. Okay. So what happened is when you go to, did I bring it up? All right, let me bring it up. When the master teacher, let's see. We have to go to the Science of Healing book. Okay, so Science of Healing book. This is on page 80. Okay, the Science of Healing book. And this, guys, actually all of this has to do with the multiverse, whether you know it or not. So I don't mind taking the time out to explain this, because these are good questions you guys need to understand about your spiritual self. Humans are in tune with their physical selves, but they're not in tune with their spiritual self, right? The Bible quote, John chapter 1, in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth within the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. In him was life, and that life was the light. What is that light? Your etheric light, the etheric body, the spiritual body is that light that shines in the darkness, which is the body or your consciousness, and the darkness comprehends it not, which is your lower self. Your conscious mind is not in tune with your spiritual body. Okay, and so it is imperative that humans re-educate themselves spiritually so that they can understand, and then you can travel interdimensionally, which would be traveling to different universes, hence the multiverse. You're connected to other universes spiritually. Your spirit body is in tune with other universes. We're going to get into that. So when we talk about the you have the, what we call, you see it right here, you have the normal level of consciousness, you have your subconscious and your superconscious, right? Now, the normal conscious, all of us are conscious right now. This is our normal consciousness. We're having this conversation, right? And so now, here's the thing. The subconscious, what that means is there's another layer of consciousness that you have. Sub means partial. You're partially aware of it, but you're not totally in tune with that higher level of consciousness. What does your subconscious do? Your subconscious controls the involuntary body functions. Your respiratory system, your subconscious controls. Your heart rate, your subconscious controls. The blinking of your eye, your subconscious controls. Your digestive system, the subconscious controls. When you are dreaming at night, that your subconscious is doing that, because your conscious mind is shut down when you go to sleep, and then you start dreaming. Well, your conscious, in order to dream, you have to have consciousness, but that's not your normal conscious level of mind. Unless you're lucid dreaming, and lucid dreaming is where your conscious mind, your normal conscious, becomes in tune with your subconscious, where they link up so that you be conscious in the dream. That's called lucid dreaming. A lot of people know how to do that, and they can control their dreams. But most people don't know how to do that. So most people, when they dream, they can't control their dreams. That's their subconscious doing that, though. So there's another layer of consciousness that the average human being is not in tune with. When you raise it up, when you raise your vibration, it links your consciousness with your subconscious. And then you can become lucid in your dream state, where you can be in tune with your subconscious. In fact, all of your memory is stored in your subconscious mind. So you can get access to your memories, all of your memories. So I hope that helps. It makes sense. Question: When we are connected with the multiverse, what will happen? We'll get better downloads or thoughts or something. Okay, you get better downloads and thoughts when you're connected with your subconscious mind. And you connect with your subconscious mind through the rituals we talk about: meditation, concentration, exercises, fasting. Recommend fasting at least once or twice a week. Your body should be at your natural body weight for your height, your size. It makes it easier for you to control the cells of your body. Learning rhythmic breathing techniques. Get the breath book. The master teacher put the breath book out to teach us these things. Okay, and so these are techniques to raise your vibration. Chanting, speaking our language in our language, Sabaean, that actually raises your vibration, because you're now enunciating tones that your body normally don't enunciate, and that raises your vibration. This is the breath book. Okay, this is the revised version. This is part 2. This is a newer version. There's an older version. You might be able to download it on the internet if you can't get the newer version of it. Very important to teach you how to breathe in rhythm. Breathe in rhythm. When you learn how to breathe in rhythm, you can control your blood flow. By controlling your blood flow, then you can tap into your light body, your auric body, and your spirit body, because your spirit is flowing through the blood, because the blood is the electrons are flowing in the blood, the electron flow. And when you can affect the electron flow, you can affect the energy essence of you, which is your spirit. And you do that through rhythmic breathing techniques. This book teaches you that. Once you become in tune with your spiritual self, right? Your consciousness your normal consciousness will elevate in vibration, and it will link you closer to your subconscious mind. And then you can tap into your dreams, you can tap into your memory, all of these different things. Question: Did any group of aliens use time travel to their advantage? A whole bunch of them did. That's how you got the Bible. That's how you got the Bible. They was using time travel. This is where the prophecies come from. When they talk about prophecies, that was because the beings who were putting out that information knew what was going to happen in the future from that timeline. Because they were interdimensional. When you're traveling interdimensionally, you're not stuck in zero timelines like humans are. Humans are trapped by their zero time reference. when a human is conceived, as I just read, you're locked into the time stream that you're conceived into. Well, interdimensional beings are not locked into zero time. They're in tune with real time. They're in sync with the universe, universal time, or multiversal time. They're in sync, so they can travel in and out of different timelines. The human being is trapped in their physical body, and their physical body is locked in a time stream that you were born into, until that person learns how to develop themselves spiritually, and then they can break the time stream. Humans have the ability to travel back and forth in time themselves, if and once you can learn to raise your vibration to be in tune with the next realm up, which is the plane of force. The plane of force is the next dimensional realm that's connected where we are. We're connected to the material plane. And once you're able to raise or tune yourself with your spiritual body, you'll connect with the plane of force. And the plane of force, it gives you access to your to your subconscious, where you can tap into different timelines, moving into the plane of force, raising your vibration to the spiritual plane, which is really where you can do it. The spiritual plane is the next vibration up from the plane of force. We've talked about this in many of our discussions before. Question: what happens when someone can't remember their dreams? The reason why people don't remember their dreams, 90% of it, because you're vibrating at a low density. Your vibration is low due to the food. Remember, when you eat food, what happens? The food liquefies and goes to the brain. This is what creates Alzheimer's disease. This is what creates dementia, because people got mucus in the brain. That's why you see their face puff up as you gain weight, because mucus is going straight to the brain. As soon as you eat something, it liquefies and sends it right to the brain, because food goes to the brain so that the brain could decide where the nutrients are supposed to go. But because we eat a lot of stuff that's mucus-based, waste-based, it just sits in the brain. All you gotta do is look at if you guys check out, like, let's see, Charles Barkley, he'd be on that, the NBA player, and he's on TV, or TNT. Watch Charles Barkley, right? Look at his face. Look how puffed up it is. That's nothing but mucus in his brain. Same thing with Shaquille O'Neal. Look at how puffy his face is. Look at the picture of Shaquille and Charles Barkley. Look at them, how they looked 20, 30 years ago. Look at the difference in their heads. That's mucus. You see it among us as a people. And so what that does, that slows down the electrical flow in the brain. When it slows the electrical flow in the brain, that's what disconnects you, the conscious mind, from the subconscious. And that's why people can't remember their dreams. And that's why they're not in tune with their spiritual self. And if they don't correct their diet, right, it creates a stroke. This is what creates a stroke, because all that mucus in the brain, it creates a disconnect of the electrical impulse. And when that disconnect happens, people get a stroke, and like one side of their body, like the right side of their body, they can't move it, because they disrupted that electrical flow in the brain. All right, so now that was a lot. So where we at? All right, let's see. Let's go back to the holy tablets. We were still there. So I was talking about your zero time reference, right? So it says, but this time reference is sometimes fragile when you start pumping megawatts of power and actually pulse to the gigawatt region. The type of energies that will affect the psyche, the mind, and spirit will you disrupt these references. So what happened was the reference of the individuals is disrupted, but are within the ship's field, so they are not lost, right? So we're talking about the Philadelphia experiment. They don't float off into space at that point. But when the ship's field comes down and those individual references are below and behind the barrier, which was in the hull of the ship in the radio room, where Duncan and Balak, those are the two brothers, right? The two scientists. They're the ones who jumped off the ship. Where they was in a secured room on that ship. They were in between these shields that are against magnetic energy. Now, this interdimensional travel is nothing new. We have been doing this for millions of years, which allows beings from other worlds, galaxies, or universes to incarnate here. So see that? Universes. We're connected to a multiverse of universes, and beings from other universes are able to come here. That's how the master teacher got here. When the master teacher said he incarnated from the planet Risk, he incarnated into once his mother and father had on Earth, right? His parents are from Earth, and then they engage in sex, and then the egg fertilized the sperm fertilized the egg. It creates like a wormhole, almost a gateway for the spirit to incarnate into the pregnant woman. And so, because the master told us that he he put out this whole book. Hold on. This is page 10. Let's go page 1. This is, man from the planet Risk, right? What does that mean? We keep telling he's spiritually incarnated into the physical body. Where did his spirit come from? The master teacher spirit came from a parallel universe. Let's see. This is the book. This is the actual facts dimensional shift, right? Where the master teacher explains that. He says right here that says as the planet shifts, each race is supposed to shift with it. He's talking about the dimensional shift. The planet is now moving into a higher vibrational rate. We're moving out of a 3 ether realm into a 4 ether realm, guys, right? That's the dimensional shift that's taking place. It's going to happen throughout the next 1,000 years. So by the year 3000 AD, we'll be in a 4 ether environment, not a 3 ether realm anymore. So we're moving back up. This is called the revolutionary cycle. We're moving up gradually. Okay? So that's what's happening with the dimensional shift. Now, that's why this book came out. The master was explaining that to us. He goes on to say that it relates to your involvement and involves your DNA as placed in the humanoid as HAR1 type on your DNA strand. HAR1 is what gave human beings intelligence. We got that from the masters. It's what makes us different from the rest of the animals in the animal kingdom. It says it is actually located on the end of the 20th chromosome of your 46. It links you to your ancestors and a parallel universe and a planet in a different harmonic portal. Yours is called Wu-Sabat or Risk. So you see that, guys? So Risk, for those who do not know, Risk is in a parallel universe to us. And that's where the master teacher came from. When as a being, those beings in the way he comes from, they're able to raise themselves up into spirit form and travel as an energy of light interdimensionally. So they can go from universe to universe as a spirit of light, an energy of light, a ball of light of energy. Almost look like a crystal ball of energy. and then they can incarnate, their spirit can incarnate into a human being. That's what he did. That's how he was able to get, to this planet. So I hope that makes sense. So let's go back to the Holy Tablets where we were. Let's see. So it says, this interdimensional travel is nothing new. We have been doing this, the masters, right? Our ancestors have been doing this for millions of years, which allows beings from other worlds, galaxies, or universes to incarnate here. Let me explain. Most of the crafts exposed, he's talking about UFOs, most of the crafts exposed to you here on Earth are designed aerodynamically, showing you they were actually built right here for this atmosphere, or there would be no need for their saucer ships, which is to cut its way through the air, right? So all those flying saucers are made right here on Earth, the master teacher is saying. If they look like that, they're made aerodynamically, he's saying. So a lot of the crafts that people see are actually made right here on Earth. But he goes on to say, however, the Nubarian fleet, this is the masters or the Anunnaki, the Nubarian fleet are crafts that travel to and fro in time and space and even interdimensionally, altering time by facilitating the principle of now. Once you moving faster than the speed of light. After a universe collapses in its center, it contracts and it expands, which is an explosion called a Big Bang, producing the sound ch from the word chaluk, which means create. This occurrence of contraction and expansion is something that happens all the time, which is also why there's no real line of division between galaxies, guys. They overlap each other, the way bubbles connect to each other. Just as the planes or the dimensional planes, they interlap. Galaxies interlap. That's very important to understand that. I've talked about this before. Okay? And so with this interlapsion of galaxies, now, hold on. All right, so it goes on to say this. Each individual born vibrates and has a tone within the octave. And there are various octaves to complete the full scale of sound. And sound vibrates from conception to decline to end, which registers it in time. Each individual has a zero time reference and tone reference and vibrational level, right? So all of us have our own zero time reference. Guys, this is one of the reasons why we can't unite. Reasons why it's hard for us to unite as a people, because we're vibrating at different time references, which makes you think different. This is why our people, we attract to certain different things culturally. We lock into a time reference culturally that makes you think different and make different decisions. And that makes it very difficult for us to think on the same level. When you're dealing with these higher dimensional beings, they don't have those problems. They don't have fluctuating references. They're in sync with one another. We are not. Because of how we're locked into the zero time of the earth, locked with the culture that you're born into. That's why when you look at newer generations, like the younger children are not in alignment with their parents who was born at a different time frame. They think different. They see things different. They're not in harmony with each other. Hapsha said, I'm reading from the Holy Tablets, chapter 1, tablet 7. That's what I'm reading from. He goes on to say this. Each individual conceived has a zero time reference from the moment of inception, right? That's when the sperm hits the egg, the moment of incident, in pure and holy darkness, before cause or effect, before right and wrong, or good and evil, before chaos, right? So that's that reference. When that sperm hits, that's inception. It fertilizes the egg. It creates a spark. It's like a big bang. Creates like a portal in the womb of the female for the spirit to come in to the body. And that spirit energy locks into the timeline that it incarnates into. So when people reincarnate, that's why you don't remember your last incarnations, because it erases when you reincarnate. It erases. Well, it doesn't erase, but it your oversoul actually has access to all your timelines. But when as a spirit, as you're coming in as a spirit, right? The spirit can only lock into the timeline that it incarnates into, unless your spirit becomes in tune with its oversoul. Once you become in tune with your oversoul, then you can remember your past lives. Then you won't be locked by time streams. You won't be locked in a timeline like this. Let's see. Question. Have you heard of Norman Bergen before? He worked as a scientist at NASA, and he had classified top information about pitch dark-skinned extraterrestrials getting out of a spacecraft in a desert. Yes, I've heard of that incident. I've heard of that. Guys, what's the name? Listen to Corey Good. I talk about him a lot. He's always talking about black extraterrestrials. He's the one Caucasian that talks about black ETs a lot. He says that they're the highest beings in the galaxy. Corey Good. Where is he at? If I could find, he talks about it a lot. The black extraterrestrials, according to Corey, he's supposed to be, connected with the secret government, and he was a part of it. And he talks about extraterrestrials being black.
Of false gifts.
If you go to his YouTube channel, it's called Spare Being Alliance. This particular this talks about, this is the way the one of the black extraterrestrials he talks about. He says these beings are some of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. This is according to him, this Caucasian Corey Good. So you guys can look him up. I talk about him quite often. All right, so let me go back to the Holy Tablets. All right, so here the master teacher says this. Says your universe contains 19 galaxies. There are 1 billion other galaxies. The distance in your universe reach up to 26 billion light years. Your universe is the smallest and innermost of 7 universes. So we're connected to 7 universes, guys, which are part of a galactic federation of 19 galaxies. As the universe increases, the universes get larger and larger. So you hear that? Your universe, the universe we're in right now, is the smallest of an innermost of 7 universes. Remember, the master came from a parallel universe where he's at. And remember, we originally came from where he came from. So we really didn't originate spiritually from this universe that we're in. Right? And so each universe is operating at what we call a different nutational rate. And we're part of a confederation of 19 galaxies. Now, the master said, he told us that, it's like that there's really 19 universes I think we're connected to. He introduces the concept to us, but he doesn't explain it. And plus, probably no one has ever asked him the question about the 19 universes. I don't even know if anyone has asked him the questions about these 7 universes. Honestly, because I've never heard anyone ask him before about this. I mean, we weren't, when the master was with us, a lot of us wasn't thinking on this level. I know I wasn't to even ask these types of questions. This stuff back when he was around was over our head. It took me years to be able to comprehend all of this stuff. But here in this particular book right here, this is called the 9 Principles of a Human Being. Right? The 9 Principles of a Human Being. In this particular book, the master teacher introduces the concept to us. If I can find it, let me see if I find it for you real quick. Okay, so he said this right here on page 57. He says this notion is often confusing to students until he realizes that this is merely another way of describing the rate of vibration or frequency of the energy at the Arushat, the chakras. Now, the Arushat, or seats or centers, seem to resemble the lotus. The lines of vibration forms the appearance of petals, stretching towards the sacred tone of the 19 universes. You see that? The 19 universes. And he's connecting that with our energy centers. Okay, so we have 9 energy centers, guys. 9 energy centers, and each one rotates like a vortex, meaning you create. I was saying you create your aura is based off your electromagnetic field, the flow of the blood from the brains to the toes. Now you have your 9 energy centers in the body, what's connected to certain glands in the body. Each of those 9 energy centers are connected to different nutational rates, different universes. We're literally spiritually connected to a multiverse, to different universes based on our different seats of our body, the energy seats. Each one vibrates at a different density level. So if you look at this diagram right here, you have your root, your root chakra or energy seat that's connected to the material realm that we're on. But as you raise up these energy seats all the way up to your crown, this is moving you into different realms. Parallel realms, higher vibrational realms. Oh, Hafsha said, no, I didn't see the eclipse. That was last night. I didn't see it. I wish I did. But no, I didn't see it. All right, so now let me go here. When we go to this particular actual facts, the emotional energy, right? Talks about the nutational rates. says electrons and subatomic particles are not solid. They are clusters of energy in motion. The charges of electricity, which explains certain attractions and repulsions relative to charge and magnetic fields. Every particle within an atom or atom moves in an orbit. Even the proton in the atom's nucleus travels a very tight orbit, which determines its apparent diameter. In addition to orbiting, there is another important motion of all subatomic particles. It's called nutation, or nutate, or noop, or droop. Now, Nuwapians, you must understand nutational motion because it is the very key to the secrets of this universe you are in right now. Every subatomic particle spins about its own internal axis, and nutational refers to a wobble of the axis of rotation. Each particle in the physical universe, I repeat this again, listen, each particle in the physical universe experiences a nutational period of precisely the exact same rate. You hear that? So each particle in the physical universe experiences a nutational period of precisely the exact same rate. So every universe has its own nutational rate, guys. Understand that. Okay? So in fact, each subatomic particle of matter and each quantum particle of electromagnetic energy spins on its own axis, just as the planet Earth turns on its poles. And that all these axes wobble at one constant rate, regardless of the energy or mass called its sum. As in sum of a thing or something, or sum of its weight, size of its particle, right? So it doesn't matter. All the particles in this universe has the same nutational rate. Whether it's a subatomic particle like the electron, or whether it's a big freaking planet like Earth or the sun, they all have the same nutational rate. And it's the same for each universe, has its own unique nutational rate, guys. Okay, and remember, we're connected to 7 universes. So each of the 7 has its own nutational rate, moving into higher dimensions. And we're connected to all of those nutational rates, those higher rates, as non-ether beings. Question, how can I bring that multiverse to this one? You're already connected to the multiverse. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Your physical body is connected to this universe, but your spirit body is connected to the other dimensions, the other universes. You just have to become in tune with your spiritual self, and you automatically be in tune with the other universes. That's what I'm trying to say here. Guys, you're gonna have to study this discussion because a lot of this information it's one, it's new to us, and I'm talking about nutational rates. That's something new that the master introduced to us. It takes time, for me to really grasp it and then teach it, and so it's gonna take time for you guys to grasp it before you can teach it. Okay, but you have to study this actual facts that teaches this information. But keep listening to this discussion. It's important you understand this because you're connected spiritually to the multiverse. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Current scientists today, you have some scientists that says this is real. Other scientists reject it because they're not certain. Guys, the scientists who reject it, they only reject it because they have no spiritual connection, because they try to use machines to identify with everything rather than using their physical body. But they don't, they lack the spiritual awareness. Us as Nagato, we have a natural spiritual connection to these other realms. We just have to give up the European culture. That's what's blocking us from connecting to the higher realms. In fact, hold on, this is a quick build on the how what scientists think about the multiverse.
What exists outside the observable universe's boundaries? Is it conceivable that there is a much greater multiverse and that our universe is but one among many? These issues are frequently explored in movies. Science fiction stories are rife with imaginative interactions across several realities, from superhero blockbusters like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to the indie hit Everything Everywhere All at Once. According to some cosmologists, the idea of a multiverse is more than just a convenient plot for your favorite movies. It's a reality. And recent evidence gathered by scientists is about to prove that. How have scientists discovered evidence that backs up the existence of a multiverse? Can we ultimately travel between such said multiverse? Join us on this voyage as we explore the possibilities of a multiverse.
Y'all hear that? So they're catching on. Keep in mind, the master teacher had been introduced us to this stuff. You know? Now, of course, the secret government knows this stuff. We're just talking about mainstream scientists, but the secret government, they know all of this information. They just won't tell the general public. You know? Now, because we're students of the master teacher, we've been exposed to this reality. Let's see. Question: is Dr. York ever coming back to teach again? Or he's retired for good? There's no schools for us to attend as a race to learn and put the knowledge into practice. Yes, the master teacher will be back, but it is the obligation of all students of Wu-Sabat to raise the self. This is why we talk about this in our principles, right? You're obligated, all students are obligated to raise the self. The 3 goals we talk about, raise the self, is number 1. And that's turning yourself inside out by correcting your behavior, raising your vibration, opening up your third eye. And once you learn how to do that, you connect with your oversoul. Once you connect with your oversoul, you will be educated on the higher realms. You can do that right now. Once you learn how to go out of body, you can be educated by masters on a higher abodes. There are some students that I know of right now who have made contact that are being taught on the higher realms. You can do it right now as we speak. Once you learn how to raise your vibration up. This is what the master teacher came to teach us. Each individual has to discipline themselves. You have to conquer your bad habits. That's the key, right? And once we're able to do that, then us who have like minds. This is why I say this in my intro, right? Know that we are not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until, here's a key word, until there is a meeting of the minds between the teacher and student, right? Those who will listen to me as a teacher and the students that listen, we have to have a meeting of the minds where we agree on this information. Then we can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. The only way we're going to start working together is we all agree. When y'all agree with the stuff I'm talking about, and we all see eye to eye, then that means once we see eye to eye, then we're going to want to work together. Right now, we're not ready to work together because we don't all see eye to eye. You know, but that's why I say, even though we're not physically working together, that doesn't mean we can't support one another. That's why I encourage individuals to talk about their business goals and objectives so we can start supporting one another. At least do that.
Please leave a message after the tone.
This is one of the reasons why I tell you guys about the the NoopooCC.com, the website project to support that. As we start helping each other, at least economically, that makes us stronger, where we can start doing more effective things. One of my ultimate goals is to create a cultural academy to teach this stuff, particularly the children. I haven't really had it for adults. What I'm doing now is for adults, these lectures. We've been doing it since 2016 to help raise the consciousness of brothers and sisters who are serious about Wu-Sabat. Let's see. Gee, I understand that last question because they really doing their best out here with everything going on, especially the children. Yeah, we're at war with Leviathan, right? We know that. We're at war with Leviathan. And what's Leviathan, we say, is based on what? Leviathan feeds off of our ignorance. Our people love being ignorant. That's why they stay in religion. They don't want to research nothing. They just rather be believers. They don't want facts. It's millions of our people. Fear. That's why does the black man allow the white man to rule him? He's afraid of the white man and his guns and his weapons. And fear comes from ignorance. You don't know how to overcome what he's doing to you. Ego, our other people, we're absorbed with our individual self, which is what capitalism teaches you, to be focused on yourself, the ego. Anger. Our people, we got a lot of anger moving through us. That's what slavery did to us, which is why we started abusing each other, right? Crips and Bloods, killing one another, robbing one another, raping one another. That's a lot of anger we got going through us. Lust. Look how many of our people is in pornography now. Look how many people are adapting to the gay culture, not because they have a adverse spirit or a conflicting spirit in their body. It's because they lust. They just want to explore all these different weird sexual practices. Lust. That's why pornography is so big. Our desires, that's lust. Our desires, right? We're suffering from a huge obesity problem here in the West because of the poison diet. Lust. And then lies and deceptions. We're not honest people today. We're constantly lying to one another. We cheat one another. We deceive one another. All of that is adverse forces moving through us. That's Leviathan. And Wu-Sabat is here to teach you how to overcome that negative behavior that we learn to behave like the Caucasian, because this is how they behave. They've been acting like this in Europe. They've been acting like this since they've been around. That's their nature. And now we have their nature because what? We mixed our DNA, their genetics with them. We've been doing it for thousands of years, mixing it with them. So we behave like this. That's not our natural nature. It's not naturally what we were genetically. And we can fix ourselves. This is what Wu-Sabat is teaching, how to correct your genes. But only you can do that. Only each individual can fix themselves. Each individual must become responsible to fix themselves. Question: are you on social media? Well, YouTube is social media. Which one? I'm on YouTube. You guys see that, guys? I be on a Clubhouse. I'm doing a Clubhouse. I do Clubhouse discussions on Wednesdays, right, from 7 to 9. And on Saturdays from 12 to, well, no, I started now 10:30 to, what's that? To 1. Clubhouse. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on those stuff. I leave that up to you guys to promote our YouTube channel for you guys to go on those other platforms and tell people about what we're teaching. We're the ones with the right knowledge. Man. I got there's so much more to talk. We ran out of time. There's so much to this topic. It's a lot more that I wanted to talk about because when dealing with the nutational rates, I want you guys to understand something here that the master explains. Let me just go through this real quick as much as I can. It says, so now, Nuwapians, that you have a clear understanding of inanimate and animate the physical world, right? Let us talk about the phenomena of living things now in relative simple terms. As you know, there are 7 abodes of existence, okay? So he's talking about the smack circle, guys, the different realms, all right? When talk about 7, you got, this is 1, Wahu, Atu, Talo, Rabo, Kamo, Satu, Sabu, right? So for a 3 ether realm, all the way to 9, those are 7 abodes, okay? So let's go back. So as you know, there's 7 abodes of existence spoken about, and 2 which they dare not speak about, making it 9 abodes in all. The 9 is because of the he's talking about you have how to explain this to you guys. Let me show it to you so you understand. When we say 9, where we at? If I can show it to you. All right, this is the actual facts, number 13, that talks about the smack circle, right? But remember, see, this is 7 in the smack circle, 7 abodes, okay? But there's really 9. But you would have to be familiar with the primordial chaos abode. Oh no, it timed up on me. Hold on. All right, let's see. Here it is. Okay, so it's really 9. You see this? This is the smack circle on top. This is the cycle of life. This is the cycle of death, of the dead, the realm of the dead. This is primordial chaos. Okay, so it starts at 1. You see that? 1, 2, all the way up to 9. So it's really 9 abodes. But with the cycle of life has 7. And then you get the other 2 from the realm of the dead. All right, and I don't have time to explain that. But let me go back. So I was let's see where we were at. Oh man, where are we at? Let's see, 17. Okay, so now he goes on to say, as you know, there are 7 abodes of existence spoken about, and 2 which they dare not speak about, making it 9 abodes in all. Now, we will begin with this known universe, the material plane of things and physical plane of beings living, right? So he's talking about this realm we're in. This is 1 nutational rate. Both are in fact 1 abode, just vibrating on higher and lower rates. He's talking about the material versus the physical because of the different elements and different vibrations, like your physical body and the other elements on this realm. He says both are in fact 1 abode, just vibrating on higher and lower rates. We call them per act, or abodes, or planes, or realms. Now, the physical abode is the slowest, not in direction, in state of existence, being the slowest of the 7, and it consists of subabodes. Okay, so you have different vibratory rates on each nutational rate, or each abode. Each subdivide into subabodes on and 1, and begins at atoms and matter or quanta, energy ordered by time. The physical abode is referred to as the lowest abode because the nutational rate of its constituent atoms and quanta has the slowest frequency of the 7 abodes. So we're in the 3 ether realm, and it's moving at the slowest. As you go on the 4 ether, the nutational rate speeds up. 5, it speeds up. 6, all the way up to 9, right? So each abode gets faster. The energies get more refined. Okay. This is where higher dimensional beings are. This is where your ancestors, they're on these higher dimensional abodes. We're trapped down here on this low dimensional rate. Remember that, where humans are. Okay. So let's go back. So you're going to say, so each of the 7 abodes of existence consists of atoms and quanta. So all of the different abodes are made of elements, atoms, okay? Right? Each one. And each abode is differentiated from others by the nutational rate of the matter energy composing. So they're different based on the different nutational rates. So each of the 7 abodes are different universes. Remember, we're connected to 7 universes. Guys, you're connected to all of them at the same time. Therefore, there are 7 nutational rates, one for each abode of existence. They who rule for 6,000 years, 6 ether beings, don't have any scientific instrument on this physical or material abode which can detect or measure the presence of the 3 higher abodes, 7, 8, or 9 ethers. That's the realm of NoopooH. He's talking about these higher abodes, 7, 8, and 9. They can't detect these higher abodes. Okay? They go from 6 and down. We are 7 and up. These higher abodes, the realm of NoopooH and the realm of ZuPooH. The 6 and below is the realm of ZuPooH, dimensional realms, and 7 and up is the realm of NoopooH. They can't detect the NoopooH realms or universes that are vibrating in these realms. They can't detect those. Okay? He goes on to say they vibrate much faster and at a higher rate. They will destroy them. These are more refined and more divine abodes of existence. Now, Nawapians or Negroids, Nagato, vibrate on all 9 ether abodes. You hear that? We vibrate on all 9 ether abodes at the same time as atoms and energy of one nutational rate are not in rapport as they were with those in a different nutational rate. We're not in tune report. We're not in tune with the other rates because we're locked into this one because you're not in tune with your spiritual self. But you're connected spiritually. We're connected to all of those nutational rates, those different abodes. In essence, we're connected to a multiverse, guys. That's why we can go to the planet Risk. For those who are able to raise up spiritually, you can go to the planet Risk. You're connected to it. That's what I read in the Patarak, the dimensional shift, talked about it. Says that is each race, those being the root races, the oldest and fastest to vibrate is the Nagato, followed by the many sub-races, and last of the root races, the Mukasu, and its many sub-races, which vibrate only up to 6 ether. The Mongoloids up to 7 ether. While the originators, the Nagato, cover all vibrations as the creators of all others, from themselves up to 9 ether. So we're in tune with all of those different abodes, which are each nutational rate is a different universe, guys. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And we're connected to the multiverse, 7 universes. We're connected to all of those different universes. And once you raise up, you'll be able to make contact with your ancestors who are vibrating on those different realms. Take your time, study this information, study this lecture. Get access to this book, this actual facts. Take your time and read it, reread it. You know how many times I read this book? I don't know, man. I probably read this actual facts, I don't know, 50 times, if not more. That's the kind of effort and commitment it takes to really study. It's because these are concepts that we're not going to get this information from the Mukasu. The master teachers introducing us into concepts that no one else even knows, actually. So when you get new data like that, it takes time for the mind to adapt to it. so they can sink in where we really get it, and we can, where we can explain it effectively so it makes sense to the listener. And if I'm saying anything that, you're having a hard time, just ask questions. Guys, put questions in the comments. It stimulates thoughts. It helps others too. As you're watching this, rewatching it throughout the week, put comments in the comments section to stimulate thought so we can talk about these things. The more you talk about it, the more real it becomes. Question: in what realm would there be no more Caucasians and Pleiadians? You got to go in the realms of NoopooH. So when a universe is vibrating in the realms of NoopooH, only 9 ether beings can be in these higher abodes. Lower dimensional beings, 6 ether beings are in these. All of those beings we talk about, like the reptilians and the Pleiadians. All of them, the grays, they're vibrating in the 4 ether realms, 5 ether realms, and 6 ether realms. That's where they are. So they live in universes, in galaxies that are vibrating at those rates. That's why they're able to come to here, to Earth, because Earth, remember, Earth is vibrating at a 3 ether realm. So they can take advantage of Earthlings because they're much more advanced than humans are. Because we're vibrating at such a low rate. Those Pleiadians and reptilians, they're in tune with their spiritual selves based on their nutational rate, based on the vibration they come from. But us as Nagato, even though we're vibrating in the 3 ether realm, we have the potential to vibrate at 9 ether. You just have to overcome the spell, the addictions, the bad habits, the lower forces that keep us vibrating low. Once we overcome that, we'll become in tune with our higher self, and then we will not be affected by those other, those 6 ether beings. Reptilians won't have no power over us. Pleiadians won't have no power over us. But they're trapped down here. They're in the lower abodes. They're in the 6 ether and down. Then they can't go to NoopooH, to our realms. So I hope that makes sense. All right, like I said, it was so much. I tried my best to get to as much as I could, but because there was more information to cover, but it's okay. We'll keep talking, guys. Keep asking questions. It's that time. And I reiterate, support, become members of NoopooCC.com, right? Go to NoopooH.org to sign up for membership, right? Become a member, support us. This is how we grow. Invest in the site, become investors, guys. We're asking you to become, what's that, 5-year? Make a 5-year commitment. That's $100 for 5 years. Anyway, I'm sure most of us can afford that, hopefully, right? Less than, what's that, $2 a month? We can afford less than $2 a month. If you like coffee, say, okay, you ain't going to buy your little Starbucks for the week, for 1 week. Support. Become members. This is how we grow. And then we can do some real things, man. As we raise in economics, we can accomplish more goals. We can accomplish more goals. So do a part 2. All right. I mean, if the consensus want me to do a part 2, I'll do a part 2. It is a lot. It's a lot more stuff I need to cover, and I'm sorry, I don't, time constraint. But we had a good conversation. I introduced you. I hope you guys understand this multiverse thing. I hope you get a better picture of it. You know, that the key to comprehending it, guys, you really got to comprehend this actual facts number 17. Okay. That's the key to comprehending this concept called the multiverse. This actual facts, understanding nutational rates, understanding that relation to your spiritual self. Okay. Once you got to understand the two. But we're gonna tackle this in different variations. So don't you know me, I keep bringing up these topics in different formats, in different ways, because it's like I said, it was new to a lot of us, and we're gonna get through it. We're all in this together. Next week. All right. Okay. All right. So I got more individuals saying do part 2. Okay. I mean, if you guys want me to do part 2, we do part 2. We'll talk about more about the multiverse. Yeah, and I mean, it was a lot of information I didn't get to cover. So, all right. So, okay. All right. You guys convinced me. I'll finish it next week, and I'll go into the other areas I didn't get to go into on this topic. So take your time, guys. Watch this, study this, so that we'll be ready to rock and roll for next week, and we'll cover the other areas that we did not get to cover, and we'll go from there. And get your questions ready, right? That helps me too, guys. The more these great questions today, really, really great questions. So the better the questions, it helps me, it helps all of us, the students, helps everybody, be better and learn. Because you guys got to get this, this multiverse thing down. You got to understand how it affects us. Watch that movie. Guys, check that movie out, Philadelphia Experiment, because it has a lot to do with that. Okay. The Philadelphia experience is part of the reason of the Roswell crash, that UFO Roswell crash in Mexico in 1947 is connected to that Philadelphia experiment in 1943. So when you're raising up, you're connected to different timelines, guys. We have the power to time travel, to go in the past and go into the future. Once you connect with your higher self, that's what I was going to get into. Guys, we have 7 clones. 7 clones. You have counterparts to yourself. Once you connect with your oversoul, you'll be in tune with the different counterparts of yourself. But we'll get into that next week. All right. Until then, family, we'll see you again. Support. Spread the word, spread the word, spread the word. And much, much, much love. I can't stress it enough. Why do?